people in one party and criminally investigating people in another party now?
No, that is not what I'm saying.
That's good to know.
These are enemies. These are people who have been very outspoken against Trump, regardless of political party affiliation.
To LAU, listen, there's evidence in all three cases. McIver, there's a video. If you went to a facility and put your hands on a federal agent, I mean, you might be in jail right now. Number two, or me too, a regular person. Number two, on Cuomo, pretty strong evidence.
There's also been multiple investigations on Cuomo, including by the IG.
Number three, on Tish James. I was under the impression that in the state of New York, if you mess up some paperwork, whatever, around some kind of a financial transaction, that was worthy of 34 felonies. And so I'm just saying, all these people have done things. I think they're worthy of investigation. I don't know what's going to happen to it, but they're not being targeted because they're Democrats. They're being targeted because there's lots of evidence around.
Okay.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise. We got to check out these clips, man. Scott Jennings does it again. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Lego.
Whether you call it a genocide or not, the facts are white farmers in South Africa have been murdered. A lot of people have tried to cover this up. A lot of people in, I think, media in the United States have tried to cover it up. Obviously, the South African government doesn't want to talk about it, so it was kind of a boss move for Donald Trump to roll that television in there today. And I think even the agriculture minister in the Oval Office confirmed that these people are, in fact, being murdered. So my question is, if it's not a genocide today, how many do we want to let get murdered so that people around here can be satisfied? Okay, now it's a genocide. Let's let a few more. I don't understand. We're talking about 50-something people they were trying to let in, and everybody's losing their mind after we let in 20 million illegal immigrants over the last several years. The president is trying to prevent genocide from happening any further to these people. They are clearly being discriminated against. Some have been murdered. This was an interesting spectacle in the Oval Office today, but it had to happen because I don't think anybody was telling the truth about it.
And Scott Jennings is absolutely right there. No one wants to tell the truth about what's actually going on in South Africa. And whether, we know that apartheid was wrong. We know that, the systemic situations that were going on in South Africa, we know it was wrong. But retribution, you know what I'm saying? That's not the right way to go about things either. And the last time I checked, the African people, the black African people in South Africa, they've been in charge dating back to like 1994. So they've been in charge now for like 31 years. Like, what are we doing right now? And these people are all up in arms over, I think it was 49 or either 59 people that allowed come over here, but no concerns over the 21 million illegal immigrants that have come over here, and they have been just complete drains and dregs on society to an extent. It's ridiculous, man.
They were convicted.
Hold on a second.
Can I read it?
They were convicted. Maybe they were convicted of very serious crimes.
I'll read it.
The penalty that the Trump administration says is appropriate potentially could be death.
I mean,
right?
I'll read it. Sex offenders, homicide, kidnapping, murder in the first degree, battery, larceny, cocaine possession, murder, robbery, DUI, child sex abuse, and sex assault on someone with a mental illness. The Sudan is too good for these people. And I'm not sure any other country would take them.
But what about their home country?
I'm not sure they'll take them. Would you take that person back?
How do you know that?
Well, one of them came from Cuba.
No.
I have to say.
How do you know that?
I don't care what we do with them. These are heinous, violent criminals, and they do not need to be here. That's all I know.
So let me just play.
And the thing is that everybody feels the exact same way. These people can get on CNN and they can grandstand and they can try to gaslight the viewership and gaslight, Americans. But the reality is the crimes that they committed, we don't even want the people that are American citizens that commit those types of crimes in society. The last thing we want to, is some people that aren't even supposed to be here, that commit those types of atrocities. Are you kidding me?
More damning revelations tonight about the Biden inner circle's efforts to hide his decline, including a scene in which the campaign staged a fake town hall. Why? Well, to quell concerns about his age and ability to interact with people. Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is the co-author of Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again. That is Alex Thompson. He's also a CNN political analyst and an Axios national political correspondent. And Alex, the fact of the fake town hall is not actually the worst part of the story that you report in the book.
Yes, other campaigns have used fake town halls. Now, I would say those town halls usually are in addition to real town halls. Joe Biden was doing neither. This fake town hall was in order to film it so they could make it into campaign commercials. They filmed it in Delaware with supporters. But Joe Biden, at this point, this is the spring of 2024, Joe Biden's town hall, which was closed to press, was so bad that campaign officials determined that it was not usable for a campaign commercial. So they took 90 minutes, 2 hours out of the president's day. They filmed an entire town hall, and they determined that it was not usable. Now, some people say this was because Joe Biden was incoherent. He could not really articulate his thoughts in a pithy or even semi-normal way. Some people just said like the lighting was bad. That was sort of the two points of view. But the point is, it shows how like what the campaign status was in the spring of 2024 when they were trying to deal with a candidate that wasn't a decline.
Wait, someone told you the lighting was bad?
That's one of the excuses.
You're saying that they spent millions of dollars to stage a town hall? Well, we didn't get the lighting right.
That was one of the excuses.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
and this comes back to the question of how many people were aware of things like that, but said nothing. And in fact, perhaps publicly said quite the opposite, that Joe Biden was fine, that everything was great. He was perfectly capable of doing this job for another 4 years. So
Absolutely. I was at the Justice Department at the time when we released her report, and he was the entire White House infrastructure at the time was calling the report gratuitous and said that Rob Hurd should have never called him a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. And every Democratic pundit, many reporters were out there saying that it was inappropriate for Rob Hurd to say that. And the reality is the whole reason why he put that in is because it was his whole reason not to prosecute. So it's really infuriating to hear this happening in the spring of 2024 around the time that the Hur report was released, and certain aspects in Alex and Jake's reporting really talk about the time frame being fall of 2023, whenever he did his interview with Rob Hur, as well as early 2024 when the release of the report. And so it's really frustrating, I think, as a Democratic Party, hearing now that they were lying to everybody. And not only were they lying to everybody, but they were bashing their own cabinet when it came to the Hur report.
One of the top Biden aides is Tom Donilon, and I'll play a little bit from Tom in a minute. Or I'm sorry, Mike Donilon. I'll play a little bit from Mike in a little bit, what he said after the election. But the nugget that came out about him was that he was paid $4 million to be a part of Biden's campaign from basically February to November. And the Jen O'Malley Dillon was the next highest paid person at $300,000 plus a bonus. How does something like that happen? And when you told people that this is what you found out, what was the reaction in the Biden world?
It happened because Biden insisted it was going to happen. When Mike Donilon went to the campaign in early 2024, there were obvious objections among Biden's inner circle and on the campaign of paying Mike Donilon $4 million. But the president was insistent, pay Mike what he wants. You have to remember, Mike Donilon's been with Joe Biden since 1981. And he insisted, and that was the way it was. And you said from February to November, Mike Donilon went back to the White House after Joe Biden
didn't even get that far.
Yeah, was no longer the nominee. And there was a lot of internal anger and frustration, and there still is about this.
Charles?
Well, that's so many things. Number one is, I think a lot of us are kind of shocked, and we're in the dark. I wrote a column about this is all kind of like made up, that they're trying to present him as a weaker candidate because of political reasons, and to find out later that that was not true, that I, as a journalist, was also part of that ecosystem of people questioning the motives, is really, really hard for a lot of people who did not, believe that Joe Biden's a good guy, but also just did not want this guy, right? That anything was better than Donald Trump, because even if Joe Biden is declining, he's not trying to destroy the country. Cannot say the same for the person who is now in the White House. And so that is...
How do you say something like that with a straight face? You literally had we had Weekend at Bernie's, part 3, in the White House, not running the show. They opened the southern border up. They allowed 21 million people to come into the country. Think about that, 21 million people. He's not trying to destroy the country. Inflation up to 29%. Companies are laying off people left and right. Thousands upon thousands of people lost their job, to the point that there was one time in the summer last year, at least once that I know of, to where 1 million people filed for unemployment. I believe it was either in July or like the 1st of August. I can't remember. Don't quote me, but go look it up. And this dude says that the person in office right now wants to destroy the country, but the previous administration didn't put the pedal to the metal, in trying to bankrupt and destroy this nation. Like, what are we talking about here? This guy here, oh my gosh.
For a lot of us, I think really hard pill to swallow, but I think you have to swallow. I think that is one of the things that I think separates people of honor, is that you can understand that new information and make a change. I think that is really important for a lot of Democrats to do, at the same time as saying anything but this guy who's in the White House right now.
Let me play Mike Donnellan. He was asked at Harvard University about whether Joe Biden was cognitively impaired, and here was his response.
I watched him every day. There's this view out there, and you see it written as like it's fact. Oh, Biden was mentally impaired. I didn't see that. And I sat in a room with him for hours and hours. I don't know how much time any of those people spent with Biden. I know how much time I spent with him. I know what I saw.
Alex, is he?
Sounds like somebody that's full of sugar honey iced tea. That's what it sounds like.
Just lying?
Oh, yeah. And he got $4 million, by the way, out the administration.
Because you've detailed a lot of examples in this book where people around him saw him unable to carry out parts of the job in terms of understanding information, sitting in meetings, things like that. Is he just lying?
I don't know if he's lying to us people or if he's lying to himself. I think in some ways this is a very human story. We've all had aging people, and people react to aging people they love in very different ways. Sometimes they realize, man, this person needs help, and sometimes they're a little bit in denial about it. And I think it's possible that this could be the case.
Is there a difference there, though? He specifically says the words mentally impaired. Is there a difference in your reporting between decline, an elderly decline, and a mental impairment? I think that is there a difference there? And if there is, I think it's significant to say that.
It could. It sort of depends what he says. I mean, there were moments when
they're grasping for straws, man. Grasping for straws.
There were members of his own cabinet that would have been concerned if a crisis had happened at that moment.
Right.
Is that impaired, or is that just him being a little out of it?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Shermichael.
Alex, let me ask you this question. I haven't read the book, but I've seen the reporting. You guys talked to 200 plus people on the record. They were saying some staff members didn't have access to the president. Cabinet members for months didn't have access to the president. There was concern. You just stated if there was a national emergency, the president wasn't in the mental state to be able to potentially handle it, make tough decisions. If all of that is true, then who was making decisions for the country?
Well, I'd say, the president, there's also the president and there's the presidency, right? And there is an infrastructure around the president that is making decisions at all times.
Oh,
now, there are some decisions that always have to go up to the president. But I'm saying that in the immediate circle around that, on the national security side, you're talking Jake Sullivan, Anthony Blinken. On the political side, Mike Donnellan, Steve Ricchetti. On the policy side, Bruce Reed. And then also just sort of on the schedule, personnel side.
Here's the conundrum for Democrats here. I get everything you're saying, Alex. I'm aware of that. When people vote for a president, they get their staffers, advisors are going to help do the job. They get that. But they also want to fundamentally know that the person that they voted for, no matter what happens at 2 a.m. call we always used to hear about, that this guy can take the call. And it's very clear from this book that Joe Biden couldn't take the call for an additional 4 years, and he probably should not have continued the remainder of his presidency.
And Shermichael is absolutely right. And this guy right here, and it's people like him, not Shermichael, but the other guy who said he wrote a column about, how great Biden was doing and basically going off on anybody that said that Biden wasn't sharp and wasn't on his game. He should be ashamed of himself. It's people like him that are the real sellouts, not only to Black America, but to the America in general. It's people like them. It's people like Jake Tapper. It's people like, others on mainstream media who, instead of reporting the truth, they would consider to toe the party line. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate. Those people are the real sellouts. And Shermichael's absolutely right. When we vote for a president, we vote for the guy who is going to be the face of the country. We understand that's why you build this cabinet, because one man can't handle it, and our government isn't set up for one person to make all of the decisions. We understand that. But we also understand that the president is supposed to be the face of the nation. He is the face, he is the CEO of the country. And he's got to be able to show himself strong, and he's got to be able to show himself as a person that, if need be, can come up with a solution or make a decision based on the information and the options that have been provided to him. And what we saw of President Biden, and unfortunately what we saw of Kamala Harris, we didn't see two people very smart. We didn't see two people very capable of taking the information in and making a sound decision based on the information that's been taken in. We just didn't see it. We just didn't see it. And, for the one reporter who states that, well, anybody but this guy, they would take a brain dead president over one that's going to come in and fundamentally correct and hopefully right a lot of the wrongs, in this nation. I mean, think about this, man. This guy says anybody but him. We're talking about the guy who closed the border, who is starting to deport illegal immigrants, who right now looks like he is offering one of the most transparent presidencies that we've ever seen. I mean, the access to this guy is just, it's unbelievable. The amount of access that everybody has to him, how open and upfront he is about what he wants to do, about the plans. Super open up front. You might not like what he says. You might not like the solution that he comes up with or the direction that they decide to go, but at least he is open and upfront and honest about it. And for people to have, for people out there to be so Trump deranged that they would prefer Weekend at Bernie's, over someone who is actually thinking about the American people and thinking about this country and putting this country first ahead of other nations out there. Those are the people that they're the real sellouts to this nation. And it's sickening. It really is. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this. Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. I appreciate the love and support, man. Consider joining the ARP family, or you can buy your man a coffee. That link's in the description box below. Join us 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for ARP in the morning. We have these types of discussions on a day-to-day basis. We have call-ins. We let people call in. You get a chance to speak your mind, either refute something that I'm saying or just add to. It's a nice chat. It's loving. Everybody's respectful. It's a good time, man. Come check us out, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate the love. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp.